Do you ever wonder, is this what I'm supposed to be doing with my life? Am I on the right path? This episode is about how to answer those questions for yourself. You're listening to Pure Light, where we explore how you can believe in yourself and be happy with who you are so that you feel worthy of your craziest dreams and confident in your power to make them happen. My name is Ailey. I'm a coach, writer, and Kundalini yoga and meditation teacher. This is episode 70. So when you're constantly asking yourself, am I on the right path? Is this what I should be doing? It weighs on you. I know this from personal experience, both in terms of my career, but also in terms of my creative projects. So I've been working on a book about self-love and self-worth for a while, and I've talked about it a few times on this podcast, especially last year when I had some major breakthroughs. And anyway, when I had those breakthroughs late last year, through the early part of this year, I started writing every morning. So I was writing for an hour or two every day before going about the rest of my day. And so I was making progress on the book and moving forward. And at the same time, I was questioning, is this really the book I should be writing right now? And I think that's because there was a subtle amount of pressure around it. And that wasn't just from, getting up and writing every morning. It wasn't from the discipline part of it. It just felt like something was maybe a little bit off, but I couldn't figure out what it was. It just felt a little forced. And then I went to a writing workshop with Joyce Maynard, and everyone who was there had submitted a piece of writing in advance for everyone else to pre-read. So I submitted a piece that was from my book. It was a couple of scenes from when I was in high school, and it was related to body image issues. So when we started talking about it, the first thing Joyce said to me was, write about the thing that makes you uniquely you. And the moment that she said that, it resonated with truth. Like I just felt in my body like, oh my God, I need to do that. She's right. And she was quick to point out that body image issues and self-worth issues are not unique to me. They make me normal. So they don't make me special. It's not something that is, somehow characteristic of me. It's something that's part of the human experience. And then she started asking me questions about what it's like to be Estonian. And she also said, nobody knows what that means. So there are a lot of ethnic groups when you think about them, there's a picture that comes to mind. You kind of know what that culture is like, but that is not true with being Estonian. And anyway, a whole bunch of questions came up about, what are Estonians like? What do they do? And all that kind of stuff. And some of them I actually found hard to answer. And it's not because I don't know. I grew up in the Estonian community in Toronto. And so I'm very familiar with Estonian culture. But the thing is, it's hard to answer those questions sometimes because when you're so deeply immersed in something, it's normal for you. So Estonian culture is normal for me. And I can't really necessarily think about it from an outsider's perspective. And this conversation made me realize that I need to write about my experiences of being immersed in that culture. So being immersed in Estonian culture and also in Kundalini culture. So we didn't really talk about that, but that is something that is also pretty unique. And anyway, this made me realize I need to put the book on hold or potentially let it go altogether, which felt a little scary because I've talked about it a lot. A lot of people know that I'm working on it. But one thing I know for sure about myself is that I do not feel good when I make decisions based on fear, and especially on the fear of what people will think. It kind of kills my soul. So I could keep trying to write that book, keep trying to force it, and in the back of my mind wonder, is this what I should be doing? Or I could embrace this new perspective and focus on different things in terms of my writing for now. And that's what I'm going to do. So there's a renewed sense of energy and wonder about writing for me right now because I feel like I have a lot more freedom around it. And it's interesting too, because it's not like I didn't have that before. Like I was the one choosing to write that book or to try to write that book. But at some level, there was a certain amount of pressure around it or something. And anyway, it's exciting to take that off and just do what feels right. So I may come back to the book at some point. I may end up writing a different book. I think it's too early to tell if this change in my path right now, in terms of my writing, is a detour that'll take me back to the original path, or if it's a totally new path. But I'm sure time will tell. So, in order to figure out if you're on the right path, you need to be all in. You need to be fully committed to the path that you're already on, because you need to try your best and see what happens. There's no other way that you can really tell, because if you're not all in, you'll never know. And that's why I'm grateful I spent those mornings working on that book, even though right now I don't know how or if or when I'm ever going to use that. So only you can tell if you're on the right path. And you can only tell if you're on the right path based on how it feels. And here's why. If you are looking to tell whether or not you're on the right path based on things like pros and cons, or comparing this path to another path and seeing if it's better or worse, you'll never know for sure. Because the mind can always find something else to like or not like about either the path that you're on, or whatever the alternative path may be. So the best way to gauge whether or not you're on the right path is based on your inner state. So peace is a sign that you're on the right path. Happiness and contentment are signs that you're on the right path. A sense of purpose and fulfillment are signs that you're on the right path. A couple of years ago, Devon Franklin was on Super Soul Sunday, and Oprah asked him, "How do you define success?" And he said, "I define success as peace." And the conversation expanded from there. He went on to say that liking who you are and being at peace with who you are the foundation of success. And then all of the external stuff kind of builds from there. And so the focus really was all based on inner experience. So it was based on peace, contentment, fulfillment, all that kind of stuff. So when each step forward makes you feel better, keep going. Use that as your compass. Because if you're trying to figure it out with your mind based on logic or pros and cons or what you're going to get, you'll end up in your head and even more confused than ever. My friend Shivali wrote something a few years ago about how her inner monologue of self-doubt was making her question her career path. And it made her realize at age 30, after working as a management consultant for 6 years, that she needed to go to med school. And there was a lot of fear that came along with that realization, but there was also a huge weight lifted off her shoulders. So if you're questioning whether or not you're on the right path, remember that you have everything you need to figure it out. Try your best, go all in, see what happens, and use how you feel about it all as your guide. I'll include links to that article and Oprah's conversation with Devon, as well as related episodes in the show notes. Find them at purelightpodcast.com. And for more episodes to help you listen to your heart and trust and act on inner wisdom, subscribe to Pure Light wherever you listen to podcasts, or go to purelightpodcast.com to listen to all the episodes. Thanks for listening. Until next time, may you be guided by your light.